What is going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control. Today's a special day because we're dedicating the whole lesson to the beloved E minor chord. Definitely one of the people's favorite. Easiest chord to play, maybe tied for easiest chord to play ever. One of the first chords you ever learn. And today we're going to learn about different things you can do anytime you see an E minor chord, which is really all the time. So definitely click the link below because I'm going to tab out everything we're talking about here. And buckle your seatbelts because this is going to be an E minor odyssey that is going to sound a little bit like this. So these are all different ways to play an E minor chord. Again, one of the reasons that it is one of the most beloved chords in history is because a lot of the open strings do some of the heavy lifting for you. So again, maybe if you just woke up out of like a coma and you need some reminders on how to play E minor, middle finger, second fret of the A string, ring finger, second fret of the D string. Everything else is open. What could be more beautiful than a nice full-bodied E minor? Everybody's favorite, okay? So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn how to play these same notes over in different pieces of the fretboard, or maybe just kind of pieces or licks of this chord that you can always do as a replacement for an E minor or an extension of an E minor, and then maybe even move them to different chords, all right? First thing we're gonna do is do this little lick right here. Okay, really kind of easy. It's just one minor third shape. So an E minor chord is an E, a G, and a B. Any way you cut it up, E, G, B. You could have 3 E's, 1 G, 100 B's. It doesn't matter. That will yield an E minor. Now, the E on the A string is the 7th fret right here. The nice thing about the open position E minor is that our root note is wide open. It's just the lowest string open. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna venture down into this murky territory of the middle of the fretboard, which maybe some people are a little afraid of. Again, not here to judge. We're just gonna rock this out. We're gonna slide from 5 to 7 on the A string to get to this E. This is our root note. Again, if you listen, open E, 7A, same note, the next octave pitch up. And then we're gonna grab the next note that we want in the chord, which is a G. Remember, E, G, and B make E minor. The G on the D string is actually the 5th fret right here. So this right here is a root note and it's minor third. All right? Now this shape right here, you can kind of see it as my ring finger and then down a string 2 frets back is really the next thing we're gonna use. All right? So from 7A to 5D to 9D to 7G. Same shape, just in a different location. And what this is actually giving us is giving us an E, a G, a B, and then a D, okay? Now where did this fit? We didn't say anything about a D before. Well, a D is actually something that you can use to make an E minor 7 chord. In fact, a lot of you have already probably played like E minor with your pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. It's an E minor 7, or even just if you take this and lift your ring finger up. Another way to play an E minor 7. Anytime you see an E minor, you can always play an E minor 7 instead to kind of just make it fancy and impress your friends, okay? So we're gonna take all those notes, play them one note at a time, all right? Which is technically called an arpeggio, all right? But we're gonna do it in a more musical way. Instead of just going up the arpeggio, we're gonna go, all right? Slide to the E, 5D, we're gonna hit the 7th note, the 7th fret on the D string, slide into the 9th fret, into 7G, back to 9D. So make sure to click the link below to get that tab because a lot of times it's easier for people to kind of see this tabbed out than it is just to follow along. We wanna make it sound like this. All right, so you can follow any E minor chord up with that little lick. You can really cut these notes any way you want. Again, the one on the tab is just going to be a... But I encourage you to get creative and take these 4 notes, you can even think of these as 5 notes, cut them up however you want, get creative, make it sound cool, make it your own. That's what playing guitar is all about. It's not about copying one style or one player. It's about finding your own voice. So it's really just seeing where these other notes are and then kind of doing whatever you want with them. All right? So that's the first thing we're going to do with this E minor. The next thing is adding some kind of flourishes, some hammer-ons. All right? Now we're going to be in the same area. We're going to start on the 7th fret of the D string, and we're going to hammer on to the 9th fret, and then go down a string to the 7th fret of the G string. Now, what I'm thinking of here is actually the E minor pentatonic scale. If we start on that root note, remember, you've probably even seen this shape before too. 7, 10 on the A string, 7, 9 on D, 7, 9 on G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in the octave. I'm just taking 1, 2, the 3rd note, the 4th note, and the 5th note in the E minor pentatonic scale, and kind of making it into a lick. All right, so hammer on G, and then ending on the 7th fret of that D string. Okay. Again, you can really combine. Start linking, kind of daisy chaining these licks together, however you want to do it. But now we have 2 things that we can do over an E minor chord. 1, 2. Now another way to think of maybe some different things you can do with the E minor is learning a different chord voicing. So if you have ever tried bar chords before, an A string rooted E minor looks like this. Okay, but maybe if you're not totally comfortable with bar chords, what we can do is actually take a little piece of this bar chord or an E minor 7 chord, and we're just going to focus on 2 notes of it. Okay, the 7th fret of the G string and the 8th fret of the B string. And the lesson for here isn't necessarily about just learning a bunch of E minors, but it's about maybe taking up chords and breaking into them. This is just kind of like an E minor 7 chord. I really just want this little piece because I think there's something cool about adding these little 2-note chords and then throwing some vibrato on it. See, I'm kind of shaking, I'm squeezing, milking that 2-note dyad for whatever it's worth, because I know it's gonna fit over an E minor. It really kind of has a dramatic impact, you know, especially with the dichotomy of pentatonic kind of licks into something like that with a lot of space. I think it sounds really cool. So again, you're gonna kind of just see this E minor and then always know that you can go right to this 7G and 8B anytime. It doesn't even matter. You can play this as the E minor if you want, instead of. Something like this works really well if you're playing maybe in a band with a lot of other musicians and everyone's competing for like the low end space energy of these chords. You want to kind of tighten up your chord voicings. This is one cool thing to do. We're actually going to do one more. And if you look at that open E minor chord again, you'll notice that you can actually play E minor just by hitting the open bottom 3 strings, G, B, and E. That's all we need. We can do the same thing on the 12th fret. Okay? So we can go from here, this little 2-note thing, into something like that. Just grab an E minor chord voicing higher up the neck. It's super fancy looking if you can start playing all over the neck, which is really what all of this is about, trying to look cool in front of your friends. So we've got 4 different things that we can do over an E minor chord. E minor to the first lick. E minor to the second one. E minor to that next voicing. Okay, so we've got 4 different things that we can do. You can link these together. Maybe if you want to do like longer licks. That was all 4 of them combined into one different thing. It's really just about increasing your fretboard awareness, which is something I really try to preach, and it's something that's really not that hard once you kind of see how chords, scales, arpeggios, voicings all kind of come together in one cohesive nature. And I think E minor is a perfect example of that, because saying the words E minor is something that doesn't trigger a lot of fear into people's hearts. Like if you were like, let's do the same thing in a B flat major 7, they'd be like, oh God, B flat major 7, you know, like, I don't even, how do you even do that, you know? But E minor has a special place in our hearts as being one of those early chords that we adopt, and I think it's only fitting that we show that E minor a little bit of love, expand upon it, and then just spread the joy of those E, Gs, and Bs all over the fretboard. So definitely, if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, we've got other videos here that you can click on all around here. Other great instructors, myself included. Always looking for your feedback, anything else you guys want to see. And definitely feel free to leave your comments in the comments section, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.